Moving on from Liverpool, yesterday, George, what do you make of what do you make of the title race now? Because we spoke at the beginning of the show about Arsenal were crowned as champions. Strangely enough, more so by Arteta outers and their rivals than actual Arsenal fans recently. But they obviously drew at the weekend. I'm going to touch on that and that performance and the stuff that come out the back of it. But City have now closed the gap on Arsenal to 4 points. How do you view the sort of title race, Arsenal standing in it after they dropped points against Sunderland?
Feel a little bit better. I'm not going to lie. I smiled after I saw that. I was like, the year's not going as good as Arsenal fans thought. No, honestly, you can say it there. Like most rival fans, including myself, were starting to get that belief that this actually might be the Arsenal year. Like as much as I've tried to downplay how good Arsenal have been and just, in general, not trying to support what they're doing, it was getting to that point where it's tough to say any other team's going to come back into it. But when you see Manchester City just 4 points away, like just one game makes a massive change. Arsenal drop points, they pick up points, and this can happen again. It starts to bring that reality back into life that it's still only 11 games into the season, 12 games. Like we still got a long way left, and there could still be a lot more ups and downs. The one thing I will say is Arsenal don't win title races when City are involved as of recently. So when City are back involved now, I think a lot of Arsenal fans are going to get PTSD, but more than anything, rival fans are going to start feeling a bit more comfortable in this position of where the title race is at. I'm like, yeah, you know what? City are back there. Now, the one thing Arsenal do have is still in their hands. It is still in Arsenal hands. They're leading the pack. So as long as they keep winning their games, they keep getting the results that they need, they're more than fine. But the next couple of weeks going to be very telling. I know Manchester City have got a tough game next in Newcastle away, but Arsenal have got us, and then they've got Chelsea. But with Bayern in between that, it's a week where you could look, the title race could flip on its head. We could see Arsenal drop points in consecutive games. City pick them up, and they're top of the table now. So, yeah, look, Liverpool still ain't out of the race. There's no doubt about that. They're still not out of the race, but they're definitely at they're way down the pack, and they're probably going to need to do relax. A lot of catching up. It's tough, but Liverpool probably won't be back seriously into the title race. Maybe, in like January or February, they can catch back up when you've had a long games where they can get into their rhythm again. But that's the thing, is Arsenal and City, they're not at their best, but they're still winning games and look pretty damn good. Liverpool look rubbish, and they've won a couple games. Like, they're not winning games.
Do you not think Arsenal are at their best?
No, I don't. I think, I think it's harsh for anyone to say that they are, because they have a lot of injuries as well. I think we looked at their bench yesterday, or the other day, they only had Dalman and Waneri available. They didn't really have, Gyökeres, Jesus, Moreno's in there, Havertz, and all these other players. And see, again, I'm not massive fans of these players they got on the bench, but they are game changers ultimately, and they are players that can win them points. So I think Arsenal still have a level to go up, and City have a level to go up as well. Whether Liverpool can match.
I think you're right in the sense of, in this comment here from Rob, who says all these rivals who said Arsenal must win the league from here, etc., are now very quickly saying City will chase them down. It's why I rejected that Arsenal have to win the league from here was purely seeds being planted by rivals and by Arteta outers, so that if they don't win it, they can say they bottled it, because they tried to create a consensus that Arsenal were champions elect at that point, and I thought that was ridiculous, because it was being said 8 games in. Forget it's 11 games now. That was being said at 8 games into the season. Arsenal haven't had a poor period yet of results or performances. By and large, they've won nearly every single game they've played in all comps this season. Was it 1 draw, 1 defeat? That's all they've had. Or is it 2 draws and 1 defeat? And again, you get one weekend like this and suddenly it's like, oh, the title race is on. The title race has always been on. It doesn't, yes, they had a sort of 6-7 point gap, but City had a bit of a poor start to the season. So maybe that's their only poor patch, but I wouldn't say so. They're going to have at least one more. Arsenal are entitled to a poor patch in a season because nearly every champions have had one. And for Liverpool, the reason why I am slightly discounting them from the title race, I'm almost at a point where I don't know if they're going to be in it, is I can't see Liverpool being perfect for the rest of the season. I think they're going to have, even if they win 5, 6, 7 on the bounce, there's going to be a period where they drop points again, and the gap's just, it is where it sort of is. So yeah, I think writing every other team off after 8 games was absolutely ridiculous. But that being said about Arsenal, the game in itself, look, they didn't do one thing well. They didn't pass two things. They didn't pass the ball fast enough. They didn't have enough intensity in the first half, and Sunderland out-muscled them. The second thing they didn't do well all game wasn't the approach play on the ground from Sunderland. It was more balls into the box, defending their area, crosses into the box. It caused them problems. And interestingly, that one thing, if you'd have said before the game, Arsenal will struggle today with deep crosses and long balls into their box, you'd have probably gone, fuck off. Out of all the things they'll struggle with, you wouldn't have predicted that. There was a great irony in the game, though. It's the first game this season where they scored 2 goals and only goals from open play, and they didn't actually win the football match. Hilarious. But that was the area of concern. But then I look at it and you go, rightfully criticise. I think for the equaliser at the end, by the way, I think that Raya was poor. He didn't need. If he actually stays on his line, he catches that ball. I think that Gabriel was poor positionally. Reaction time was bad, and if he'd have spent less time wrestling with Bobby, I think he may have been able to get a block on the ball. And it's right to criticise it. I also agreed with a lot of the match reaction guys that came on that not that they shouldn't have brought Mosquera on, but I think they sat back too deep. They allowed Sunderland to get too close to their box. They should have pushed up a little bit higher in that moment. So there's definitely some areas to criticise Arsenal in terms of the game. But then I have to ask myself, again, that's the micro conversation. That was poor on the day. Do I sit there and think that's going to become a regular occurrence in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 games? No. If you look at the body of work so far this season, I doubt it. So I look at it and go, they've got Spurs next at the Emirates. I'd be very surprised. And by the way, all those players you mentioned, yours are back. Every single one of those players. I think Noni's back, Kai Havertz, Gyökeres, Odegaard. So suddenly they're going to have, and look, they're probably, I don't wish injuring anybody, they might pick something up over the international break, but they're almost going to have a full squad for that game. And that's why I would say, like any Arsenal fan panicking after one bad weekend, you might want to sit this title race out because you're going to get these little ups and down moments. But what I will say is the title race was never over. There's going to be at least one more team in it. Maybe Liverpool do go on a bit of a run. Maybe Chelsea go on a little bit of a run. 8 games in, signing the season off like Gary Neville was trying to push, for me, was just fucking stupid.
Yeah, well, if Arsenal don't win it from here, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think if you go through it though, right, Man City at the start of the season, they were in crisis after the last 2 games without. Liverpool have obviously been in crisis. Chelsea have been in crisis. Spurs have been in crisis. You know what I mean? Everyone's been in crisis, but Arsenal. I think their time will come where, I'm not saying a crisis, and I'm saying that tongue in cheek with the crisis comments, but I think where, do you know where they might get it'd be like a run of games where, when I say run of games, I mean like 2 or 3 games, might get like a dodgy decision, or they just aren't on it that day. And I'll be interested to see how they come. Like with the Sunderland game, I thought that was a sign of a team of champions. Reason being is, I think before they might have buckled under that pressure, and I think in the second half they came out, and it's just like, I think Sunderland deserve a lot of credit for obviously getting back into it and sticking to it. But I think coming out in the second half and playing how they did, like against a very good Sunderland team who've caused issues for every single team this year, they could have easily folded, and they didn't. They came and they showed a lot of quality to kind of to lead to 1. That obviously you're kind of like, you're disappointed with the result, and you're like, oh, how do we let it slip with 2-1? You're kind of going, what? They were probably 10 points clear of Liverpool and 9 ahead of Man City if they had a 1 before the Man City Liverpool game. But yeah, I think they'll dip a little bit. It's not normal for a team. I think I said this on Footy Judge Mo channel there on Friday. We've become so normalized as using Liverpool and Man City, where it's like 97, 99 Centurions. Like, we become so normalized to seeing them get that we think it's normal that teams should do that every year, but they don't. Over the course of the 30 years in the Premier League, teams usually will get around, like, say, kind of 85 to 93 points to win a league. That's normal, and you drop points throughout the season.
You're spot on, but what we also didn't have in those high 90 points is you look at this league table. And let's be honest, right? The team in 12th, Brentford, are capable of beating every single team above them in the league. Brighton, capable of beating every team. Palace, every team. Bournemouth, every team. Liverpool are capable of doing it. United are, Villa are. But every single one of these teams in the top 12 can beat every single team in and around them. And this isn't a dig at those brilliant City and Liverpool teams. The league weren't like that back then. It wasn't. You would not go down to 12th place and say that team is capable of beating everybody. That's why sometimes when it comes to points totals, they're a good barometer. You know, United have got more points this year than last year, and I see improvements. But I've always used the phrase they're not the ultimate barometer, because you often remove the context of the league in itself. We are so strong as a league. You can go down to 12th place and no one's going to their ground and saying, that's easy 3 points. I think if you go back 5-6 years ago, we weren't having those conversations. That didn't exist in the Premier League. So that's also why Arsenal fans, City fans, and Liverpool fans, I know Liverpool have had a really bad run of late, so they may feel a little different in this, but they're all gonna drop points. This idea that City are gonna, I don't think anyone's going on a 15 to 20 game winning streak. I don't think anyone's gonna do it this year. I think you're gonna get 5. You might get 5, 6, 7. I think Arsenal kind of got to that point, but then you drop points. That's about as good as I think it will get for any team. You know, even with City, who've been great recently. Villa done them game week before. They then go away to Newcastle, by the way, are not even in the top 12. City's next game back is away against Newcastle. It's not. We all know Newcastle can take points off them there, and that's why I don't think there's any room. Again, it's more micro conversations. Let's review this game week and where we are. We all know the title race is open, and I think this weekend was kind of proof of it. One set of results and everybody goes, oh, title race is back on. It always was, because we know Arsenal are not going to win every match from game week 8 until game week 38. 30 wins on the bounce? No one's doing that when the league is this strong. It's impossible to do it when the league is this strong, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but you guys could throw a spanner in the works, so Spurs, if because you're away from home. Because I don't know, I know our game was weird at the weekend. It was just it was on the day 2 poor teams like slugging it out.
A team that shit at home and a team that shit away is against each other.